Welcome back. It's the Insights. I'm trying new setup with the mic. I realize I might be talking low. Every video I have to increase the volume. I don't think I'm talking that low. I might not talk loud, but so change a few settings, change the mic setup. Should be closer to my mouth. I don't know. That's probably not the way to say that. But today should be an exciting episode. First on the docket, I was watching something, how Molly keeps interrupting, and I don't know if it's a running joke or if it's a theme they do on purpose, but I think they do it on purpose just because of the clicks and stuff. They know, if they read the comments, they know everybody hates that Molly interrupts them during important segments. But if that might honestly just be Molly's personality as well, so we never know about that. But we have that. Again, we'll do predictions. I'll leave that for the end of the episode as well. I have a few topics I want to talk about in between that also. But at the end, I do want to show, I want to show some stats and how I look at stats. I know I talk about efficiency metrics a lot when I talk about these players. So I want to show the two sites I actually get this data from. I'll do that at the end of the episode, just so everything kind of flows the same, and then people that want to watch, they can just go to the end. People that eventually watch this, or they can just watch the whole thing through, like you should, and then at the end you'll see everything. And I'll probably just be talking and then just moving through data, but I'll show you a few things that I'm into. But let's start off here first with this Molly situation. So, first take, everybody know ESPN got Shannon Sharp, obviously from FS1, probably about a year ago now at this point. But the situation happened where Molly was, so in the past, a few months ago, WNBA had a selection where they could have sent Caitlin Clark. To me, in my opinion, the person who was bringing eyes to the WNBA, making the WNBA, let's just say famous, for lack of a better word. WNBA didn't want to put her on the Olympic team. And so they're more than likely they were going to win the Olympics with or without her, because I'm assuming they wouldn't have played her, or they would have played her spot minutes. But for me, what I was thinking, and then I'll get into their situation. What I was thinking is you put her there, and now you're selling out even in the Olympics, and now you're bringing more eyes to Paris, where it's a global stage, the Olympics. Now, WNBA, everybody's tuning in because, first off, everybody's already tuning in to Caitlin Clark to start off with. Now, we're like, oh, we have some good players. Aja Wilson's here. Sabrina's here. We have, well, they didn't bring a Gumawale, but anyway, there's a lot of players because you have your star players like the ones I mentioned, but other players' personalities would have shown through as well. And I know they brought Taurasi, they brought Griner, but these are players that have been in the league for a little while at this point. So they should have brought, for me anyway, I would have brought Caitlin. And if I could have made it work, I would have brought Angel as well. I would have brought both of them. Just because I know Angel to me doesn't have the same type of star power as Caitlin. Just because Caitlin, the things that she can do on the court, Angel really can't do that. Basketball skill sets, they're different. One's a big man, one's a post player. Well, Angel's a post player, Caitlin's a guard. She plays a little bit more free with the ball. She can handle the ball. She can shoot, and you could tell now she's starting to get comfortable. And which leads me into the topic today. So, back in the past, WNBA players, some coaches as well, and then some panelists that came on First Take were saying how bad Caitlin was playing, how she's not going to be able to transition to the WNBA, and it's going to be a tough adjustment, and it's basically saying it's a grown woman's league. And the same thing she did in college, she would not be able to do in WNBA. Which, fair at first. But the point Shannon and Stephen A. were making is that first they should have took her to the Olympics, and then second, she's going to be able to do these things in WNBA. Just give her time. And they debated, argued about it, and were saying, no, you're wrong. You don't watch basketball. You don't understand basketball. She's not going to be able to do these things. And Molly was co-signing with them as well. Now, I'm not sure if she was just doing it as a host or what she was doing, but she did co-sign. And now, when Caitlin Clark is in possible MVP discussions, now, in my opinion, there's nobody. Asia Wilson is winning the WNBA MVP. To me, that's a lock and shut case. But still, to put her in the discussion, just because the Fever was a last place team for the past 2 years, because they've had the number one pick for 2 years at this point, and now they're in the playoffs. So Shannon and Stephen A., they're looking at these, WNBA analysts, we'll call them that, coaches, looking at them a little sideways now. Just because, hey, you told me she wouldn't be able to do this stuff. I was telling you that she would, and she would be really good to great at doing these things, and you told me she would not, and now she is. Now where are you? So, and then I watched a lot of Nightcap as well, and Shannon was calling those women out. So I would love for them to see them on the podcast, but where Molly comes in is Molly tried to deny that she really was saying anything. And Shannon's not going to let her get away with any of that. So that became a whole discussion. I watched it. I forget somebody's YouTube channel I was watching on. I think his name is Sports Pro or Dreamers Pro, I believe, and watching his discussion on it. But Caitlin Clark's going to be great at this game, especially if she's a rookie. She's setting records, triple doubles. I want to say she had a triple double tonight, and now, the league is probably the league should be hers, and just rightfully so. Honestly, when you have somebody as polarizing as she is, she's going to allow everyone in the W to get major contracts eventually, not necessarily at this very moment, but every league has to build. Every league is going to have that star player, that generation, maybe not even that generational talent, but that generational, what's the word I'm looking for? The general, I guess, let's just say generational star, and according to the WNBA standards, for me, she has to be considered a generational talent. In a sense, she plays like a Steph Curry. She's a 6-foot guard. And now, for women, that's not necessarily big, but that's not necessarily small either. But her skill set is unmatched, really, because she does dish out assists. She can score the basketball. She has turnovers, but at the same time, I remember I was looking back, and Steve Nash had a lot of turnovers as well. So, and he was a great assist man and won MVPs. So, let's stop throwing that argument about the turnovers in there. She's having turnovers because she's handling the ball 90% of the game. So let's throw the turnovers out of there. She can have 5, 6, 7, 8 turnovers. I'm sorry. When you start getting to like the 5 mark, that's kind of crazy. But I want to say I was looking up Steve Nash, and actually I want to say one season he averaged like 4.5 turnovers a game. So it's honestly not that crazy for a guy that, people would say a great ball handler, a great guy that can create shots for others. So, and I want to look that up just to make sure I am correct. Do I have Basketball Reference up here? I do have Basketball Reference. Yeah, because I just want to make sure this part is accurate before, how you talk about people and then you realize you start looking at the stats and realize everything you just said was not true. Okay, so His MVP years, okay, it's never been 4, but he averaged basically 3.5 turnovers, 3.3 turnovers in his MVP years. And that was to 11.5 assists and 10.5 assists. And even the year after that, it was 3.8. So, yeah, almost at 4. Not quite 4, like I was saying. And I think I might have said 4.5. So, let's take that down a little bit. But still, that's a lot. That's not necessarily just a little bit of turnovers over the course of a season. Playing 82 games, what is that? Almost 300 turnovers? So, no, I guess if you're playing all 82. But regardless, she's going to turn the ball over. First off, she's a rookie. She's getting acclimated to the game. Next year, she's going to be a lot more polished. The WNBA, their season is the way it is set up now. It's weird just because when you come from college, you're coming from college and going straight into the WNBA. There's no true rest period. You have a quick training camp, and then you're playing. And I hope eventually, and that's why I never understood why these women weren't on her side, because I feel like you would be big. You should be big up in somebody who could potentially get the entire league paid more. It's what, and I'm sure people bashed Michael Jordan back in the day. Probably did the same thing or similar things to him. But when you have that person that could be a star, I don't care, black, white, whatever, and it seems like she's a genuine person, just from what I see. It doesn't really seem like too many people have bad things to say about her as a person. They might say things about her game, but as a person, I really haven't seen anything really negative about her. So, yeah, when you have that generational person, yeah, man, they have to learn that this is what comes with a star, and not even a star. She is considered a superstar or a megastar of the WNBA. A'ja Wilson might be the best player in the WNBA, but she doesn't generate the level of stardom that Caitlyn does. Now, is it because Caitlyn is white and she can do some of the things that's similar to, in the style, not the same, but in the style that Steph Curry, that's what she reminds people of? Yeah, that helps. But if the game didn't translate, people would fall off. But at the same time, there's other white women as well who can shoot the ball, handle the ball as well, but they don't generate the level of stardom that she does. So I wouldn't say that point right there just because she's white. That's not the only reason she's generating this level of fame. I believe it's her college fan base of what she did and how she was the only, I don't know if she was a 4-star or 5-star. I would assume she's a 5-star with that type of skill set. But the team she was on, and then when she had to play the LSUs, the South Carolinas, all the big schools, and she was running through teams, basically, I won't say by herself, but practically by herself. That's what made her a legend, and I believe built her a fan base, because it's like, I can't believe this girl is scoring 30. I think she averaged 30 or close to 30 a game. You're like, wait a minute, who is this? And then you try to figure out more about her. And then when you see it, and she has struggles in the beginning, but then you see it translate over. So I think that's where the stardom's coming in. How she plays, people love Steph Curry, and you find somebody else that could potentially play just like that. Yeah, I think that helps out quite a bit. Now you look at some of the stats. Now the thing about the WNBA stats, I'm gonna have to get updated on, because I'm so used to seeing in my head 50% good field goal percentage. And the WNBA, I'm not sure what necessarily a good field goal percentage is, because sometimes I'll see these women shoot 38% from the field. It might be less than that sometime. And I might not necessarily understand what potentially is a good field goal percentage, because I look at it sometime and and it shocks me, to be honest with you. But from my understanding of how she's playing and shooting really well, especially in the second half of the season. So, yeah, I think that's what the start of that conversation was, to bring it back full circle. When Stephen A. and Shannon were talking to the WNBA analysts and telling them Caitlin should be on this Olympic team, and them telling her, no, she has not earned that right, and them explaining to her, or the women, that I would say it's not about the right, it's about what she can do for their game and just bring more eyes, more attention, more money, dollars, sponsors, everything. But they weren't hearing it. And now she's playing so well that she's in MVP discussions. She won't win it. I want to make sure I say that. She will not win it. Asia will win it. Asia's stats are crazy. But it's bringing more eyes to the game. It's making people watch. It's forcing people to watch, because it's like, who is this woman that's able to play like this? And then now you're learning about the other players as well. And that's what it does. You realize, oh, it's not, the WNBA is not what I thought. Because I think in the past, there were so many just TV shows. I know Family Guy did a rendition one time of what the WNBA was and basically how boring the sport was. But when you actually watch a game, you realize, oh, these women can really play, and especially the star players, they're star players for a reason. So that's what the discussion was about. And Molly kind of got backed into a corner because she tried to backtrack, and Shannon wasn't going to let her. And then Stephen A. went right behind Shannon and wasn't letting up. And Molly was trying her hardest, but I would say when Shannon has you in the corner, there really isn't nowhere to go. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah, that was the first thing. Oh, I wanted to show. So let me see if I can do my screen. Okay, perfect. This is the thing I found on Reddit. Would this be called an offensive foul in 2024? Now, this play right here is disrespectful to the fullest. Let me see if I can do full screen.
9 on the shot clock. Shaq has it against Green. Powers to the hoop.
Now, do I think this is offensive foul? I do not. In 2024, would it be an offensive foul? I truly don't think so. Because, so Shaq has the post position, right? And he doesn't really throw the elbow. Would you say he throws it? I would say he gets low, he gets his base, right? The bump here. I would say now Shaq probably here is around about 350, right? So at 350, he's probably just throwing people around. And I would have to say no. I think Shaq's big enough that he wouldn't have to worry about that. Yeah, and I think the star, I think that's what it is. The star that Shaq is, I think that's what would make it so that play right there is not an offensive foul. And that's what I would have to say about that. Yeah, just wanted to show a clip. I'm trying to integrate more stuff, you know. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, I'm just trying to add more stuff to the insights. And another thing I read, I like to read different forums and whatnot. One thing popped up, interesting topic. Said, what coaches or GMs do you think are on the hot seat heading into the 2024-2025 season? Now, what I was supposed to do, and I forgot, until I started reading, I was supposed to look up the worst teams in the NBA last year and see, and I could still do that now, and see who I think is going to get fired. Because there's some people on this list, I'm like, I truly don't think they will. But there are others that I feel that should be on the list and that are not being talked about. And I need to charge that, but let me see if I can find NBA standings from last year. Was it 2023? Okay. No, I want the year after that one. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So at the bottom was the Pistons. Pistons just got a new coach, so hopefully they don't fire Bickerstaff again. But yeah, the Wizards coach. Who is the Wizards coach? Because if he hasn't got fired, I would say he's probably on the hot seat, along with their GM. I'm gonna put him. The Hornets. I don't know. The Raptors coach should be good. He just got there. Nets. Hawks, we're good. Nets, I don't know who their coach is. All right, let me read off some of the coaches that's on here. That might actually jog some better. Billy Donovan is one of the coaches they put on here. He did sign an extension, but he really hasn't been. I don't know if he's been to the playoffs. Or he's been to the playoffs maybe once, but he really hasn't been that good with the Bulls, to just being honest. So for me, he'll be on the hot seat. The one I didn't agree with is Willie Green, because Willie Green can't ever get his star player. If he could get his star player, then I believe with Zion, Willie Green could possibly be good. And trying to send off something real quick. Next we have Chauncey Billups. Now with Chauncey, possibly, I could possibly see him getting let go after this season, because it'd have been 2 or 3 seasons of being not even close to playoff contention, and that's one season with Dame, but Dame didn't really play that season, being honest. They have JJ Redick on here. JJ's not getting let go after 1 year. I think, especially I think if LeBron's going to be there for some years as well, or if Anthony Davis is going to be there as well. I don't think JJ would have to be absolutely terrible this first year for him to be let go. And I think JJ can do a good job, and I think JJ has a good cast around him to do a good job. Let's see what other people they have on here. Now, they said David Griffin, the GM, could be let go instead of Willie Green. I could see that. That would make a little bit more sense to me. And then Willie would be let go after that. I could potentially see that. Anything relating to the Lakers, I don't think JJ's, honestly, I don't think he's going anywhere. They put Doc Rivers on here. Doc's not going anywhere either. It doesn't. Yeah, Doc has at least 2 years. They keep saying Billy Donovan signed a 4-year extension, but I don't know if they understand with these coaches. These guys will pay them, give them 5-year deals, and fire them within the first 2 years. So, honestly, the extension for me means nothing because these owners, it doesn't seem like they really care about that. But I guess let me look through the West standings. I don't think Ime Udoka will be going anywhere. Now I think Ime has 2 years to improve the Rockets, but I think he's still good for this year. And let's go back to the West. Yeah, the Spurs. Greg basically has a lifetime deal. He's not going anywhere. Taylor Jenkins, I believe, is going to turn his team around. Jazz head coach, I can't remember his name, but I think he's good. Warriors, Steve Kerr can basically coach. They wouldn't fire Steve Kerr. They would basically let him step in the front office and then hire somebody else. Kings head coach might not necessarily get fired unless he does a terrible job. Who is the Kings head coach? Is it Mike? Yes, Mike Brown. Yeah, I don't think Mike Brown's going anywhere. And all the other coaches, Suns, they just got a new coach. Mavericks, Jay Kidd's not going nowhere. Clippers, Ty Lue's not going anywhere. Timberwolves, their coach clearly is not going anywhere. Yeah, so those are a few of the coaches that I could see moving. Probably need to learn some of these coaches' names, but I don't really see too many of them. There might be 3 or 4 changes going into the 2025 offseason, but I don't see there's that much there. Now, one other interesting thing I read is, could OKC have won in 2017 if KD did not leave? Now, we need to do a little bit of research. We need to see who was on that team, because it was a trade. Let me see if they state all this in here, because they should have won. They should have basically made it back to the finals the year prior. The thing is, they would have had to play LeBron again. Now, KD definitely would have been a different player. You would have Russ, but you would not have Harden, which would have been different. The problem would have been Russ, just being honest. Russ he's not an efficient player. Never has been. But he does a lot outside of just that, whether it be rebounding, helping out, just playmaking, things like that. So, and they said, personally, I think their only threat in the West would have been the Spurs. No, the Warriors would have still been a threat, because the Warriors potentially could have got someone else other than KD. I'm pretty sure they could have. They could have made, because they had the cap room. Well, was KD the only free agent? That would have been my question. I can't remember who the free agents were in 2017, because they could have technically did this with anyone else, but it still was a sign and trade at the end of the day. And let's think. They lost Harrison Barnes basically to get KD. I know they probably lost some other pieces as well, but Harrison Barnes was the main piece they lost. And then Harrison Barnes, does he reroutes to the Mavericks somehow? Or maybe they didn't sign him to, I can't remember how that went. But the Warriors would have still had Harrison Barnes, so that would have still gave them trouble. Now, KD was a monster in himself. Russ being Russ plays hard, but the MVP Russ, we would have never got that, because Russ wasn't on a mission. But Russ will still play like how he did. Russ would have probably still gave you 23 and 8. Shot probably 44, 45%. I don't think they would have won, though. Just because they would have needed more. They would have never got because I can't remember, did they draft Sabonis? Because Victor Oladipo gets there as well, but I can't remember the year. But he would have got there. Would he have been there during Russ MVP year? And Sabonis was there as well. This is tricky. It depends on who would have been on that team. That is the true question. Let me see if I can enlarge this print. Part of the problem is your boy is blind out here. Okay. So this person thinks their only threat would have been the Spurs. The Spurs would have had Kawhi, old Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan would have still been, and LaMarcus Aldridge would have came to that team as well. But Kawhi was at that point. No, he wasn't injured. Kawhi he was injured, but I think that's when. Yeah, because that's when the Zaza did that thing to him. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. They would have had Westbrook. Yeah, but Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, because Clay's getting the shots regardless, but he's about to get more shots. They still have Harrison Barnes because there's no point in losing him. You still have Iguodala. You probably still have that. what did they call them back in the day? Whatever the bench unit was amazing back in the day. So you probably still have most of those guys. Yeah, because Livingston's probably still on the team. Was Barbosa on it? Not Barbosa. Maybe it was Barbosa. Maybe he's still on the team, but he might have been too old at that point. But they still, yeah. They're saying that Russ and Katie would have continued to get better. I agree, but the problem is when they got to the finals, that would have been the problem, because instead of LeBron having to go against KD, Steph, and Clay, and then you throw in Iguodala in there, and then you throw in all those weapons that they had on the bench still, you kind of even the matchup up, because you have Russ, you have KD, but then you have Kyrie, you have LeBron. Kevin Love was basically a role player at that point. But those are your main things. So that 50-point game LeBron has to have against the Warriors did he even get? Yeah, he got a 50, but he doesn't even probably need that output of scoring. So I think they probably still would have lost. And then, yeah, but Katie would have been signed for 2 or 3, 4 years. So that might have been a little bit of the issue. Just being honest. So I don't know. Yeah, because Harden was gone at this point. Yeah, so you can't even say Harden. He wouldn't have been there. Would have been close. Well, definitely closer than the Warriors with KD. We could say that. But I don't know. The thing would have been is, does KD and Russ still get past the Warriors? That would have been the problem. Because they definitely would have been in their primes. And I'm reading this thing. It said that they weren't at their primes when they first met LeBron, but they definitely were in their primes at this time. And they didn't get past the Warriors. It would have been 2 years, because Warriors won one, lost one, then they get KD. And I can't remember who gets hurt. I don't think either. I can't remember who got hurt or when they got hurt. But at this point in time, this actually might have been KD's MVP year. I can't remember how the MVPs went, though. Nah, it wouldn't have been his MVP year, because I don't think Russ won it right after him. I think he won it after James Harden. Yeah, so I think it would have been tough, and I don't think they would have won. That's going to be my final verdict. So for KD to get his rings, I think he would have had to go to the Warriors or just leave this situation. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see, but I think KD would have been ringless at this point until he went to somewhere else. All right, as an Atlanta Hawk fan, I have to talk about this, and then I have one more topic, and then we'll get back into our predictions like I promised. So, who would you rather build your franchise? Would you rather build it around Scotty Barnes, or would you rather build it around Trae Young? Now, when you have Trae, you have scoring ability, shot making, playmaking, and basically 25 and 10. Basically. Now, the defense will not be there, but more likely than not, you're probably prepared for that, and you're probably covering for that. Scotty Barnes, good defender. Probably solid playmaker. Not a natural scorer. All around guy though. So who would I build my franchise around? Just being honest, if I'm an owner, I'm building it around Trey. Just for the money aspect. Trey's going to bring eyes to my franchise, fans into the arena. Little kids want to be like him. So as an owner, I'm getting Trey Young, and I think as a GM, I think I would get Trey Young as well. Just because of how he can score. He takes crazy shots. He's not as efficient as he should be, but he does still have an ability to make shots and to play make, I think, a lot better than what Scotty Barnes can do. Scotty Barnes can score the ball. I'm not saying he can't score the ball, but Scotty's not a natural, didn't come in as a natural scorer per se. And I want to say Scotty shot his highest percentage from 3 this year. But you could tell from the guys that no matter who's on the team, a natural scorer is still going to score the ball. Even when you have other guys come on the team. So RJ Barrett comes to the team, Emmanuel Quickly comes to the team. Scotty's probably averaging, if I had to take a guess, Scotty probably averaged, I'm gonna take a long shot and say he's averaged 20, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did not. Just because he's not that type of scorer in my opinion, and it looks like he averaged right under 20. So, I'm sorry. So he did shoot a career high from 3, but that was at 34%. So, again, in today's NBA, your score is going to need to be better than that, especially if he's shooting 5 threes a game. He shoots 47% from the field, but in reality, if he shot probably strictly 2s, he's shooting 53% from the field. So, yes, Scotty's not a natural scorer. And even the playmaking, I'm still going to want Trey Young over Scotty. Scotty can do a little bit of everything. I believe Scotty's 6'9", so he's a guy that's not going to be a liability for you. He's going to be able to do everything you ask of him. But the extraordinary, the things that you want, the things you can't teach, yeah, Scotty can't do that part, and Trey definitely can do that part. So no matter how sometimes it feels like I might be harsh on Trey, Trey is still a great offensive talent. But my only gripe with Trey is his shot selection, just being honest. I think if Trey could improve in that area, I think the sky would be the limit for him. He would be in a similar mold to how Chris Paul is. And I think that's who he should mirror his game after. Not necessarily from how Chris Paul shoots his shots, but just the shot selection, how he orchestrates the offense. Because Chris Paul, especially the older Chris Paul, and that's why I'm so excited for Chris Paul to go to the Spurs with Wembanyama, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, all those guys. I'm excited for just to see how he gets those guys in line and show them, hey, we have a 7'5" guy in the post or a 7'5" guy against anybody. It's a matchup. It's a matchup disadvantage for anybody, because think about it. Like, truly think about it. Wembanyama's probably 5 inches taller than everybody else. So let's just put it in like equivalencies. That would be a 7-footer going up against somebody that's 6'7". If you want to say 4 inches, that could be 6'8". It's a big difference. It's not even close. 6'7" guy usually can't guard Joel Embiid. Can't guard Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Jokic isn't athletic on the NBA landscape. But that doesn't mean a 6'7" guy can guard him. Yeah, you not good. Yeah, no matter how great a defender Draymond is, he can't guard. What makes Draymond great defensively is not him just strictly guarding guys like Joel Embiid or Jokic in the post. It's his versatility. He's like a Swiss Army knife. So he can go out on the perimeter because he's shorter in the NBA standards. He's shorter for a center, and he can go out and guard those guys on the perimeter where they might not be comfortable, maybe handling the ball or whatnot. Some of them. And then in the post, he's sturdy enough where he can build himself up like a brick wall in a sense. And so you have to go through his chest, and Draymond has really good upper body strength, really, and lower body strength to be honest. But he has good upper body strength, so that's why some of the guys and a lot of guys don't necessarily work on that. So that's why Draymond can bully him sometimes. So, but I think going back, I built my franchise around Trae Young. One as an owner because I know the money's bringing in, a GM, coach because I know what he can bring to my offense, and it's unlike what other players can do. So definitely Trae Young on that point. I'm not that harsh on Trae Young to not pick him. To me, it's not that hard of an answer on that one. Last one before I get into predictions. The predictions for today. LeBron's best second option. Who was it? Would you pick D Wade? Would you pick Kyrie? Or would you pick AD? Now, LeBron's won with each of these guys. So, it's a question of who do you think is the better fit? Honestly, the best player is probably Wade. Probably the peak of Wade probably is the best player, but didn't necessarily play with LeBron necessarily like that. They don't really mesh, just because they really both do the same exact thing. So it's hard because Dwayne Wade needs the ball, LeBron needs the ball. Dwayne Wade doesn't shoot the ball that well. At the time, LeBron was working on it, so they could get to the paint, like getting to the paint and getting to the basket. Yes, they could do that amazingly. Both of them could, and they figured that part out. But as a natural fit, no, I would say probably not. Now, when you have Kyrie can catch and shoot. Kyrie can shoot off the dribble. Kyrie can attack with either hand. So it's not really a problem, but the problem becomes in clutch time. Because who do you give the ball to? You want to give the ball to Kyrie, but you have LeBron James on the court. Or you want to give the ball to LeBron, but you have Kyrie on the court, so you don't know what to do. Now, both guys are getting frustrated because they both feel they should be number one options. Somebody has to sacrifice. Now, efficiency-wise, as a three-point shooter, Kyrie is going to take Kyrie should take shots resulting in long twos or threes. LeBron getting to the basket at the time was the best player in the game, probably until Giannis came. And Giannis like ascended to his height. But as a fit, AD is honestly probably the best fit. When you have a big man in the guard, no matter if the guard is 6'8", 6'9", and doesn't matter who the big man is. If they both can play, they can feed off each other because you can do pick and rolls, and he's a natural rim runner, natural cutter to the basket. That's actually what AD is best at, cutting to the basket. So, when you actually look at it, you realize, oh, okay, it's probably a better fit, especially because I can on any switch, whether a big switch is on LeBron or we have a guard that switches on AD. It's always a mismatch. it's easy. Now the defense has to try to reset and refocus and figure out how to work this dominant matchup. On the other two, you don't really. On D Wade, they were to do a guard pick and roll. It doesn't really work because you don't really have to. You can hedge on Dwayne really because he needs to get to the basket. Dwayne, if he shot 32% from three, you're not worried about that. Kyrie, pick and roll is good, but I don't know how often you would run it just because it's not really that big of a mismatch. It just depends on who's guarding LeBron, to be honest. If a guard's guarding LeBron, a bigger guard, because the small guard can't start off on LeBron anyway. But if a bigger guard or a wing is guarding LeBron that can defend, Kyrie can still get by him. Because let's not act like Kyrie can't. But it's no advantage to doing that. It'll always be an advantage, big man, with LeBron and AD. Because it doesn't matter, because even if you put a smaller big man on AD, that doesn't work either. Or that means the bigger, the center, or whoever it is going on LeBron, and the footwork and the foot speed, you can't match up. So it's not really going to work. So as far as the fit, it's AD. The best player LeBron's played with is Dwayne Wade. As far as a career-wise, probably the best player that he actually played with is Kyrie, just because of what Kyrie was able to do at the time. Probably, if I had to take guess, it would have to be Kyrie or AD, because Dwayne Wade was getting injured and getting hurt at the time when the Heat were making those runs, except for that first year when they lost. But yeah, Dwayne Wade's body was breaking down. And then you have Kyrie, who can score everywhere on the court. Doesn't really matter. So, yeah, that's the thing about Kyrie. It doesn't really matter where you get him the ball at, because he can score in the paint. He can score in the mid range. He can get to the free throw line. He can shoot the three. Doesn't really matter. He could play make if he needs to. He could play make. That's probably one of Kyrie's downsides, though. His playmaking was bad. And the thing is, he's not a natural point guard, really. He's like point guard size for the NBA, but he's really a shooting guard. But he's not a shooting guard to like what Klay Thompson is. Not that type of shooting guard. He's a shooting guard that needs the ball like in a Kobe style type shooting guard, except he shoots the ball better than Kobe. So that's what type of guard he is. So I think AD is definitely the better fit. It's either between AD or Kyrie at the time when LeBron was playing with them, who was better. But let's not do that. You have to pick one. If I had to pick one, AD had a good run with. It's going to be hard for me to not say when LeBron was playing with Kyrie was probably better than when LeBron was playing with AD at the time. I think so. Yeah, I think Kyrie probably would have been better at the time. Yeah, because that Kyrie was special. Yeah, even when they lost to the Warriors in 5, with KD on that team. Yeah, Kyrie was special, super special at that time. Still special now, but okay. Now to what, if not everybody, myself was looking forward to, the NBA predictions. So, looking at, I believe, East and West champs. So, who will win the Eastern Conference? I'm going to go ahead and say not Jason Tatum, the Celtics will win. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. But let's go ahead and just read who they have. They're doing it from 5. You have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think they have a chance of winning the Eastern Conference Final. Is this Eastern Conference Finals or the East? Oh, winning Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, I don't think the Cavaliers have a chance. Oh, the Bucks. Yes, the Bucks have a chance. I don't think the Knicks have a chance. Just being honest, I don't think they have a chance. The Sixers, they do have a chance, but it's pending on Joel Embiid. And then you have the Celtics, who definitely have the highest chance. Now, who's the other team that should be in this mix, though? There's one other team that should be in this mix that I need to think of. Sixers, Bucks, Knicks. No, I guess maybe there isn't anybody. Yeah, because those are the teams. Yeah, because the Knicks, they're good, but I don't think. Because you have DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, you have OG. They have a lot of pieces with Brunson, but I don't think. And Brunson is really good, but I don't think he's the star power. He averaged 28, which is crazy to say, but he doesn't have the. And I can't even say he doesn't have the same dominance. He was averaging 40 at one point of a series. And I guess maybe just because he's a smaller guard, it doesn't feel that way. Like Joel Embiid, when he dominates, it's clear to see. Jason Tatum, when he dominates, it's clear to see. Giannis, clear to see. Jalen Brunson, honestly, is clear to see. So maybe I am under. So let me say this. I am undervaluing what the Knicks could be. And it might be just the history of what the Knicks are. But I am definitely undervaluing. I don't think. It's hard for me to say. I don't think they have a shot. But I'm going to say Boston. My order, I believe, will be Boston, Bucks, then 76ers. Because Joel Embiid's healthy. And hopefully I didn't change my answer from yesterday. And then I probably have to put the Knicks after that. I guess the Cavs, maybe. But honestly, the Cavs don't have a shot. I don't think. If anybody has a shot, it's the Heat, just because they have Spoelstra. That's who should be there. Just because they've shown they could get there before. Okay, moving on to the Western Conference. Who will win the finals there? All right, so they have the Lakers. Go ahead and take the Lakers off. They have the Phoenix Suns, the Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, now I know why they put the Lakers on there. A lot of people Lakers fans, and they say that the Lakers just couldn't get past the Nuggets. Well, there was other teams that beat the Nuggets, and I'm pretty sure they would beat the Lakers too. So, I don't think. Yeah, the Lakers should not be on here. The Suns should be better than what they are. They just. I don't think Bradley Beal's a good fit, or Bradley Beal's going to have to take a Ray Allen role, and I'm not sure he's willing to do that. Denver Nuggets, they have Jokic. Jokic clearly proved, I believe, in this Olympics that he is the best player in the NBA, because it took basically not all the NBA, but the American stars were having trouble guarding Jokic and his team, but Jokic just makes his teammates better. Just him being out there on the court, I believe, gives him confidence, and his scoring ability. And I don't know how he does it, but he can score the basketball off of either foot, it seems. It doesn't have I won't say either hand, either foot for him. But yeah, I think Denver Nuggets honestly would be. It'll be hard pressed for me not to have them one. I don't think the Oklahoma City will be one. Oklahoma City, Timberwolves, Mavericks. I don't think the Mavericks will be that high. I would put the Mavericks probably under the Suns this year. I think I would put them under the Suns. The Suns need to get a rim running big man though. We were talking about a few. Clint Capella wouldn't be a bad idea, but I'm not sure how they would make the money work. Minnesota Timberwolves, they have a good team. Oklahoma City, maybe I would put Oklahoma City 2. Let's put Oklahoma City 2. Let's put Minnesota 3. Let's put the Suns 4 and the Mavs 5. I'm taking the Lakers off. Yeah, LeBron's going to be 40 this year. You have AD still. You do have Austin Reeves, but he has some young talent, but it's not enough. a lot of things would have to go wrong, or trades would have to happen for this to change. But I'm gonna put the Nuggets back at 1. Put the Thunder at 2, Minnesota at 3, Suns 4, Mavericks 5. Who will win the NBA Finals? They have the Mavericks, Knicks, Bucks, Nuggets, Sixers, Thunder, Celtics. So, Celtics will be my top team because their team really hasn't changed too much. And the good part about it means they really didn't have Porzingis in last finals. And Porzingis will make a big difference. So, I think they can go back to back if I think it's this one factor. If Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown aren't beefing. And I sure hope they aren't. I hope the media isn't driving a wedge between the two. I hope they understand what happened between Jaylen Brown getting the Finals MVP and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which I believe he deserved. I want to state that. I think he was both. I think he should have won both. But also, with the Olympics happening, how they invite both Drew Holiday, Derek White. Jason Tatum was already going to go. But they invite those three and don't invite Jaylen Brown at all. So the wedge that they're trying to build between the Celtics, hopefully the team chemistry is there, because that's the only thing I can see breaking them up. But they have Oklahoma City next. I think the Nuggets should be above. I think the Nuggets should be in second. I think I would put Philly over the Thunder. And so Thunder would be 4 for me. Well, actually, I guess you need a team for Nuggets is second. Okay, that's fine. I wonder, are they doing East West? Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me see if they're doing East West. East West. East West. East West. East East. Okay, they're not. All right, cool. So I can make this order how I want it. All right, Celtics 1, Nuggets 2. I'm gonna put. Did I put the Bucks or the Sixers? I want to put the Bucks next, actually. Let's put the Bucks. Let's put the Bucks next. Let's put the Sixers after that. Then we'll put the Thunder. Then we'll put the Mavericks, and then the Knicks. Because I don't think the Mavericks or the Knicks will. I don't think the Mavericks or the Knicks will be in this conversation come around that time. But that is actually the end of predictions. So if this is the part of the episode that you want to stop at, you stop at. But what I want to show is what I was mentioning is sometimes how, and I need to get closer to the screen, but maintain so I can see. So I'm going to show my screen in just a second. So this is Basketball Index. This is one of the sites I use to look up, basically look at player efficiency metrics. They have a lot of tools on here that I do like. As you see, there's a lot. Here goes the efficiency metrics, right here. So one of the metrics I look at a lot is points per possession. But what I also like to look at as well is isolation. But I like to look at that in another model, which I'll mention in just a second. But I'll look at isolation points per shot, and I like to look at pick and roll ball handling. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the next star. Because somebody like Jalen Brunson, when I look back at his time on the Mavericks, that last season before the Mavericks, and the other side I'm talking about is Synergy. So I use Synergy. I'll use Synergy to look up a lot of this information. Basketball Index has a ton of information that I'm still learning to use all of it. But I like it. It's great value. They have a great product, great value, keeps you up to date. Just keeps your knowledge within the game. But I'm looking for the next star. So I'll come here. For whatever reason, when I look at pick and rolls, what makes sense, honestly? Pick and rolls, isolation, and those two. Pick and roll, and isolation are very telling signs for guards and wings who handle the ball to tell if they're going to become a star or not. So I base this on one, James Harden, because his last season in Oklahoma City, when I look at synergy, all his efficiency metrics on a points per possession value were excellent. And the main one, so what I do is I look to see if your points per possession is excellent. Usually that number is above one. I think it's 108, I believe, on a points per possession. I need to verify. It might be 110. Then I look at your isolation and I look at your pick and roll. Now, what I've noticed, because there are players that are also excellent in both of those categories, but they need to be your primary category. So when I say that, is how many possessions are you having within a game that you actually isolate, or that you're in pick and roll situations as a guard or as a wing? Because if you primarily spot up, not saying you're not a great player or a great shooter, but as far as when I look at potential, that upper echelon, you're probably not going to achieve that. Just being a spot up shooter or being somebody that's excellent in transition or does that most of the time. You need to be in the pick and roll most of the time. You need to be able to create shots for yourself. So what I've been doing on Basketball Index, because I'm trying to mirror it on how I look at synergy, just because Basketball Index has a lot of information. So once I can navigate and filter it down, I believe I will be able to do this a lot more efficiently and be able to find just great players who can create shots for themselves and others. And that's what you need to become a superstar, it seems like, in this game, because Jalen Brunson had it, James Harden had it. Those are the two main ones that I've seen. And when you look at everybody else, so like somebody like DeMar DeRozan, somebody like Jimmy Butler, LeBron, of course, Kyrie, Luka, all these guys, Steph Curry, all these guys, those are very telling signs. Chris Paul, these guys are excellent in both of those categories, along with being excellent in points per possession. Now, one thing I did notice, you don't necessarily have to be graded as excellent. You need to be at least very good at a bare minimum, though. You cannot be just good on a points per possession value. You need to be at least very good for the star level that I'm talking about. Oh wow! And I just took this out. Oh, how nice. There we go. All right, we're back. So the star level I'm talking about, you would need to be great at both. And I try to not single it out for 1 year. So initially, I will look at 1 year, but then I'll try to look at the players year before. And sometimes it's tough because you look at it and you, like, somebody might have a breakout, but you don't know if that's going to continue because they might only been in the league 2 years. So someone like, and now that I'm thinking of some of the research I did, somebody like Jalen Williams. Now I understand why OKC was good. When I go back and look, I'm like, oh, so Shea, so same thing that we're talking about. Shea was excellent in all three of those categories I mentioned. Points per possession, isolation, pick and roll. But guess who else was great, just as great as him? Jalen Williams. So somebody like Jalen Williams is, if there was ever a contract dispute or anything that happened, that's somebody I'd be trying to trade for, somebody I'd be trying to get. So I'm trying to learn a little bit better on Basketball Index, but I do, just because they have, I can break down the information a lot more in Basketball Index than I can on Synergy, and Synergy has a lot of things locked off, depending on if you need to be with a team to use a lot of their information. You can use some of it, but I like to use video as well. But so you can't see everything. I can look at. Let's start with values, and then I'll go to a season grade on Basketball Index. But let's go ahead and run the initial query, and then we'll go from there. So it starts off with points per possession model. And what I'll do actually, let's go to the grades. Let's go database grades. Yep, there we go. And so what we will do is we can put in all the grades that we want, and I'll do it up to a B+. And so it'll start knocking out people. But the thing is, you can't be, what I've noticed is you can't be just good. Let's just say you're good at isolation. So initially you have to be good, very good to great in the points per possession model, or it does not work. Now, some offensive players, and you'll hear me call them inefficient, which they are, and you'll notice I say it a lot, and I'm basing it off the model just because when you look at their field goal percentage and then you look at their 3-point percentage, and you'll realize, oh, this guy's taking a lot of shots, and I'm wondering why my team is losing. My team is losing, and I'll call out some names: Cade Cunningham, LaMelo Ball, and Trae Young, because I'm taking bad shots, and I continue to take bad shots. Trae, the year we make the playoffs, is when he was actually efficient, and it shows in the points per possession model. He was actually shooting the ball very well. What I like about just the statistics, it tells you, and I'm pretty sure the players have this, it tells people where they shoot well on the basketball court, what areas of the court they shoot well at, what types of shots they make more of. So somebody like Corey Kispert for the Washington Wizards, I realize is a very good shooter. And then I look up the stats after, and I'm like, oh. And then I go watch his game. I can see why Corey Kispert is very good on his model. He makes his shots. He shoots 40%. He's a very good shooter. Now, I don't think the Wizards would trade him, but if he ever came up in discussion, yes, I would tell somebody to go get him. The same thing with Trey Murphy. And I think the Pelicans realized that's why they started giving him playing time. The year before, he was excellent shooter and was barely getting playing time. Now he started getting playing time, and you realize, oh, Trey Murphy is a 6'9" guy that can really shoot the ball. So it's little things like that that I start to recognize very quickly. All right, so I like all of these, and you see it weeds out a good bit of people too. So when I do all three of these, and it's very funny. Grayson Allen was a great shooter last year. I'll just put that out there. And it's funny how Corey Kispert, Trey Murphy pops up, and Shea does, of course. But Grayson Allen, that's who I forgot. And you realize when the Suns said when Grayson Allen went out, they became a worse team. It's because how well he shot. And you see it very, very easily right here. A+ in all these categories. Just because somebody might just be a spot shooter doesn't necessarily mean they might not be good in all these categories. Now, the thing is, the ceiling for Grayson Allen isn't going to be as high as somebody like, I'm not going to use Kevin Durant because I want somebody similar size. Somebody like Jalen Brunson or Kyrie Irving, somebody like that. The ceiling isn't as high just because he doesn't do it time in and time out. And you start to realize that. I think somebody like Luke Kennard, I want to say is good on the points per possession model. I can't remember if it was this year or last year. But Luke Kennard's a shooter, and you know that's what he does. So he'll be good on a points per possession value, but as far as possessions isolating or in the pick and roll, you're not going to really see it. So this is what I look at a lot of times. This is what I look at. I know it has database grade. I know earlier, I think I did season grade earlier. Let me see if that gives me more people. I want to say I had 9 people when I did season grade. But this is one way I look for information. I'm not going to say this is a perfect model, but I realize a lot of players that I'm looking for that are great, good to great, I realize they fit this mold. I will say that. So for, let's say, a season grade, Grayson Allen still tops the charts. You have Kawhi Leonard on here, Shea, Duncan, Giannis, Jimmy, Joel Embiid. Oh, Mike Conley is another guy. I didn't realize how efficient Mike Conley was. Mike Conley is a really efficient guy. So somebody like this. And then, of course, we have Derek White on here. So somebody like Ricky Council IV. Who do you play for? Philly? So somebody like this, the only thing also that I like to look at, he hasn't played enough, but he is somebody I would go take a look at. So I will come over here and just honestly, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Synergy next because that'll introduce us into Synergy. But he's somebody, I'll come over here, I'll take a look because I want to see why he shot so well and what his stats were. So he played in 32 games, only played 9 minutes a game, but he still shot 48% from the field. He shot 37% from 3, 74%. So somebody like him, I will basically bookmark basically his name. So I will go back and look in a year, not necessarily a year, during the year to see how well Ricky Council is playing. Because if Ricky Council plays good for another year and is efficient just like this, oh, light bulb pops up. Oh, Ricky Council is a really good player. And if I'm a GM, he's somebody I'm trying to go get. Because I'm like, okay, if he can be efficient on a small size, let's see if we give him a little bit more work. If he's still the same guy, boom. But with somebody like Ricky, I need to see now to see if his ceiling is capped. Because somebody like Isaiah Joe, points per possession is amazing, but he's a spot up shooter, so the ceiling is only up to a certain level. Tyrese Maxey, you could see it. You could see it because usually what you'll see is on the rookie season, there'll be a good player will start off at average. The great players, like somebody like Damian Lillard, actually, I believe, was a little bit above average, and it kind of showed pretty quickly. But somebody like that, they'll start off at average as a rookie, and then you'll see the next season either go to good or very good, and then something in my head pops off. All right, let me go look at the isolation. Let me go see what they do on pick and roll, and if it says very good or excellent by either, now I'm really checking that player, because something that player is doing is translating on the court, and now we're looking for our start. Now we're looking for our stars. So if anything happens, I'm like, hey, go get that guy. So one player I was thinking of getting is somebody like Devin Vassell, because I look at Devin Vassell and I look at these numbers. I'm like, okay, I see how well Devin's playing. Oh, it's showing up in the box score and it's showing up in the efficiency metrics. So, Synergy. Now you can see I was looking up Vince Williams the other day, just because he popped up on some metrics, but when I looked him up, this is what I'm looking at: all possessions. So it says average right here. This is what I'm looking up, and yeah, I just have to make sure when I go into Synergy, I look at the regular season. So let me kind of give you an example. So let's start off with Jalen Brunson. So when I look at Jalen Brunson, you see all the possessions very good, right? Because I'm looking for either very good or excellent. I like seeing excellent, but very good satisfies this criteria as well. So pick and roll ball handler, excellent. This year, his isolation was just average. Cool, that's fine. But when I go over here to this last Dallas season, this is when everything should have like clicked for anybody that wanted him. And now it made it kind of easy since I believe his dad was on the staff for the Knicks or whatever happened. But all his possessions the year before was very good. His play type, the pick and roll was excellent. His spot up was very good. His isolation was very good. So I know he can shoot. So everything is checking. Those are the main boxes. These two are the main boxes that I am looking at. And he's spotting up. And you have to take things into context. Now, he's spotting up because he has Luka on his team. So he's not going to be able to isolate all the time. But when he does have that opportunity, you see what he does. But let's just look even the year before to just get an idea. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. The year before, he was excellent in the points per possession model. Play types, pick and roll, excellent. Isolation, he actually didn't do too much of it, but he still was very good. So in this scenario, I'm looking at his pick and roll and like, okay, he's excellent in that. So I bookmark him. I don't know how high his ceiling is yet, but I am bookmarking him because, one, I see his isolation. He can isolate, but he just doesn't do it enough. But his pick and roll that he does a lot, he's very good at it. So those are the things I'm looking at. And then if I would have saw this season after, I'm like, oh, this is a guy, if he touches free agency, you have to go get. Because he's consistent. But let me show you Jalen Brunson at the start of his career. What I do need to do, though, as well, is my next task is trying to find people in the NBA draft. That'll probably be the next project I work on. Try to find people I need to compare. So somebody like him, was 2018, 2019 his first season? Oh, wow. He was very good in the pick and roll. Isolation, he was average. Makes sense. But very good in the pick and roll. And that was his rookie year. And he was good in his possessions in the rookie year. So somebody like that, I'm just checking in, keeping tabs with somebody like this. And I want to say his second year, I don't even know if it was that good. I want to say, yeah, he falls to average. His pick and roll is still very good, but he falls to average. But then when I check back again, and I see that the pick and roll is excellent now, and he's excellent in all his possessions, now things click for me. I'm like, okay. This is a guy that I need to go get. I need to go check in. This might be the next guy that can become a star. So another player another player I was looking at is Devin Vassell. Let me make sure I'm spelling it right. Yeah. So Vassell, this year with the San Antonio Spurs, he was very good in all his possessions. Play type, which I did not know he did much of. He was a pick and roll ball handler a good bit of the time. I did not know that. Now, with him, he doesn't isolate that much. And I'm saying he's only good at it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's a very good shooter. So his ceiling, in my opinion, isn't to like what a Jalen Brunson is, but he could be a second tier type guy. So that is. And these are it's gems that you're finding. But it would only work if the Spurs were willing to let go of him. But from what I've been reading, they're not. Especially now that they have Wemby, they're definitely not. But I didn't realize he was that good in the pick and roll. Because I didn't realize he had 300 possessions with the ball in his hand. Just doing pick and rolls. So somebody like him, and the year before, I don't even think he was good at all. Or I lied. He was excellent. But what was his points per possession value? It was good. Okay. So young players, people like this, I'm keeping tabs in. I'm checking in. I just want to make sure, but that's the pick and roll. A lot of times tells you that they handle the ball a good bit of the time, and then them being able to isolate just allows you to know they can create for themselves, which in turn means they can create for others, and so that's how you know their ceiling is up there. So 2 other people I want to show you. I'm gonna start off with James Harden because I want to go to OKC. James Harden. And the crazy thing about James Harden, even now, he's good in all possessions, but his pick and roll is still very good, and his isolation is excellent. So no matter how much we say he's fallen off, which he has a little bit, but he's still a very good player. Now, I want to go to, let me see if I can find the last season he was with OKC, right before he went to Houston, and I think this might be the reason Houston pounced on the opportunity to get him, because let me see. Wait, oh yeah, he wasn't with. Yeah, this might have been the last season he was with him. Yeah, I think this is the reason. So James in the regular season was excellent in all his possessions. And this would have been his 3rd season. He was excellent as a pick and roll ball handler, excellent in transition, excellent spotting up, or I guess very good in transition, but excellent in isolation. And you know the 2 I care about is isolation and pick and roll. Now, again, like I continue to say, you have to take the isolation in context. You're really not isolating that much if you have KD on your team and you have Russ on your team. But if you're showing the ability that you can do it, that's a major sign. So I look at this, and I'm pretty sure they did back in the day. I'm not sure if when Synergy came out. But if I'm looking at this and I'm Daryl Morey, I'm like, this guy can be a star for me. Oh, yeah, we'll pay him. What do y'all want? What do you want for him? So these are the type of players I'm looking for. And they don't necessarily come around that often, just being honest. You really don't find them like that. But Oklahoma City has a lot of players who are just good fundamental basketball players. Because there's another guy they have on their team, I think Carson Wallace, who's another guy that's really good on this model. But with Jalen Williams, excellent in all his possessions last year. If you look at his play type, pick and roll, excellent. His isolation was just average. Just fine. That's fine. But his pick and roll was excellent. Transition very good. Spot up excellent. Meaning he's a good shooter. So I'm taking account of all this. Now, I'm thinking about his ceiling, but I know Shea has the ball most of the time. So I'm looking at this and like, okay. So I will take a look at the year prior. Because I know he won a rookie this year. He should have been a rookie. Yeah, this should have been his rookie year. So this year would have been his rookie year. First thing would have clicked. Very good in all possessions his rookie year. That's a telling sign, by the way. Especially for a rookie. Pick and roll, he was good. Isolation, he was actually very good his rookie year. You'll see that. I noticed that a lot of times coming into their rookie years. But somebody like this, Jalen Williams, I would have him bookmarked. Because if any contract dispute came up, or if they weren't able to sign him, I'd be the first team after him. Yeah, because this is somebody, because if this is what rookie year looked like, because I can show you some rookie years and they are terrible, and they want to be like Russ doesn't. To me, Russ doesn't count. Russ, I think the highest I think I've seen him was good. I want to say, I don't think I've ever seen him at very good on here. Even his MVP year, I want to say his points per possession value was still just average. But so who I've been looking at and trying to see is Emmanuel Quickley. Now he has two different seasons, because you have one with the Raptors and you have one with the Knicks, where he started off the season. So his points per possession when he was with the Knicks, very good. Play types, pick and roll, which I like to see. excellent. Isolation was good. Okay, but he didn't isolate that much. Then he goes to the Raptors, right? So, and you'll see here in a second, his points per possession drops to good. Pick and roll goes to good, but his isolation goes to excellent. So, in my head, I haven't bookmarked because I'm over here thinking potentially this could be a guy. I have to, but I don't necessarily know yet. So I'm trying to figure out. Somebody like Jalen Williams, I'm like, yes. Somebody like Vassell, yes. I'm like, if anything, they're going to be very good players. Since I was just talking about him, Casey Wallace. Casey Wallace was a rookie last year, and his points per possession model was at excellent. So I have been actually keeping tabs on him because I'm interested to see what they do. Because if they try to leave this man as a sixth man, and he continues this model, I'd be like, nah, we gotta get him out of here. Now, spot up, which makes sense. Say if you have Jalen Williams, you have Shea handling the ball, you're probably going to be spotting up and in transition a majority of the time. His pick and roll was good. That's a good sign. He was a rookie. His isolation was poor. That's fine. He only was in the situation, was at 11 possessions. That's fine. When he has more possessions, then I'll be able to tell what he can potentially do in this role. But in the current role he is in, he is an excellent player. So I'm curious to see what he does in his second year. Because if he can keep this up, this will be somebody I would be looking to, because OKC is going to have to find a way to pay all these guys. And if he keeps this up, this would be a guy I would be targeting for as my lead guard. Just to see, and then I just need to see what he does in the pick and roll. Then I can figure out everything from there. Yeah, but these are the two models. I could go into this. I literally could go in this for hours, but these are the two models I use. Synergy, I use it a lot. I like it. Basketball Index, I really enjoy Basketball Index just because of the depth of information it has. And I think as I get better with it, I will be able to do a lot more and be able to show, basically make tables, break down information, and then go from there. But guys, probably going on to hour 20. And so I'm going to call it. I will talk to y'all next time.